Hello, this is going to be a video that's going over the notes that we took in class on x and y intercepts. So it's a good kind of reference point for if you are struggling with this concept or the homework didn't go well to kind of go back and review this notes over again. Okay, so first of all, what is an intercept? It's where it's going to cross over an axis in algebra. So for the x-intercept, or another word that we use for this also is zero, is when y equals 0 and the graph crosses over the x-axis. So we're looking at points that are on the x-axis. Every single point has a y value of 0. 2, 0, right? 4, 0, 6, 0, 8, 0, negative 1,000, 0. All of them are going to be on the x-axis and they're all going to have 0 in the y coordinate. So the way the order pair writes is just it's a number and equals to 0. On this graph here, the x-intercept is right there. And it looks like it's negative 7, 0. So kind of the opposite of that would be your y-intercept, which is when the y value is a number, but the x is 0. Because you don't move left and right at all when you go to plot the point, right? So you're just going to go up or down. And the graph crosses the y-axis. So we're looking at 0 and then a number. And that would be, whoopsie, look right here. Looks like that point is 0, 5. So that's kind of your general overview. For your notes on this, I mean, this is pretty fast, but this is your x-intercept, this is your y, this one's your x, right? This one's the y. When you're looking at tables, for this part, your tables for your x-intercept would have a 0 in the y. So this one's your x, and this one's the y. And for this one here, you get this one is your x-intercept, and this one's your y-intercept. So those are the points on your graph. Okay, so the more challenging part of this is sometimes they're going to ask you to solve algebraically for the intercepts. You're still going to follow that same logic. The x-intercept is when y is 0, so we're basically going to take the y out. We're going to kind of write down the equation, but instead of writing it minus y, we'll write minus 0. And then you can just solve from there. Let's look at like x is going to be 3. So that would be your x-intercept for this equation, 2x minus y equals 6. For the y-intercept, you do the opposite, make x 0 and solve for y. So I'm going to take the x out. You can kind of think of it, this is really what we're doing mathematically. That's just going to be 0 minus y or negative y. And therefore y is equal to negative 6. So for that one, whoops, you get negative 6 for your y-intercept. This is not one point, right? They're two separate points. You have an x-intercept of 3 and a y-intercept of negative 6. So when you're writing these as ordered pairs, you can write your x-intercept 3, 0, and your y-intercept would be 0, negative 6 for that one. Okay, so we'll do kind of two more, and then we'll do one where you find the 0. So for this one, your x-intercept, you can even literally just take your y value right out. So this will be 4, 0, and your y-intercept, we're going to take the x out. And so it's going to be negative 6 as well. So 0, negative 6. Okay. Now sometimes you're going to be given in function notation. They'll usually use the word 0 for this particular problem. So for that, your x-intercept, you're basically going to take this whole part out and plug in a 0. You're going to set the equation equal to 0. You want to keep the x for x-intercept, and you want to keep the y for the y-intercept. Then we'll add 9 to both sides and divide by 3. and you get a 3 as your final for that one. Your y-intercept, you're really finding g of 0, which would be 3 times 0 minus 9, which just would be negative 9 once you do 0 minus 9. So that would be where it crosses, the y-axis. The last part on here that we talked about in class was find the 0 if you're given a function, and I just kind of made it up. It was something on the lines of this. On your math-based homework, you'll have a couple problems like this, so you just want to take the f of x out, plug in the 0, and then solve. So that'd be negative 8 equals 1/2 x, multiply by the reciprocal, and you get negative 16. I know it was fast, but look it over, and if you need to rewind because I talked too quickly, feel free to do that as well. All right, thanks for